Instead they'll try and take away the Callista X Nico X Renata bottom lane. But I gotta think that knowing Scout too, did JDG just turn Sejuani Yone no matter what this B1 pick is?
I think you, as ThunderTalk, are probably taking some portion of Sejuani Yone. Wow.
Or
that Weibo
Nico.
BLG series is starting to have ripple effects here. Nico getting first picked. There's no misfortune, so usually that's the counter. You usually see like a Nico Kai'Sa. Nico as like an early game driver to help Kai'Sa get through some of the laning phase, and then you have one of the best AD carries in the game. So we're getting this pretty early. All right, some adaptation coming through.
Do we just see Sejuani Yone taken on the turn here from JDG? Seems like Shun potentially wants to play onto that Pantheon. No, we're going to go blind Renekton, R1 for Alla. Did not see that one coming.
Okay.
Oh, and I guess no, we just know that we can get Sedge or Yone on R3. Are we daring Xia Hongren to pick that one up onto this ThunderTalk comp? Nope, and I get baited by...
Got baited by hovers. That's okay. It was a pretty good hover though. It was a pretty meaningful hover. So I think you get the pass on this one.
Oh, thanks.
So ThunderTalk might try to opt for a little bit more of their dive. You do have the Jarvan that we kind of saw hovered, but
Kai'Sa.
we do imagine that the Kai'Sa is going to be locked in here. So ThunderTalk, their options. As much as I would love to see a Yone from SeTab, I think that when you see a Renekton and a Pantheon, you're pretty hard. It's a pretty hard no coming on through. So maybe we ended up seeing a Rise here would give you a bit more tank stats. And if we're talking about wanting to play a little bit of a longer game, I think Rise definitely opens up the potential for that.
Oh, instead we see one of those adaptations that ThunderTalk have recently been trying to deploy towards Hoya. I will say their one win over JDG did have Hoya on the Yorick, so this is intriguing knowing that they have that Kai'Sa Nico bottom lane. Now they're saying ThunderTalk are willing to really index into 4-1 splits or kind of just trying to buy space for Hoya on the side lanes. But that, again, playing side waves and has been an issue for ThunderTalk and playing the map up against JDG. So I am a bit worried, and they also give Scout that rise to build a pretty beefy and potent front line for JDG.
Okay. So in terms of laning phase right now, I think that JDG, you have pretty potent side laners already. I mean, Renekton's probably not going to be in a side lane, but when we talk about them in isolation in the first 10, 15 minutes, Renekton should be able to get priority for Shun if they ever get engaged upon on a side lane. You have the Pantheon to reinforce. Scout now with this Rise can kind of cheat priority around the map and get to places a little bit quicker. I'm thinking about this from the side of ThunderTalk. You're going to need some tanks. You're going to need someone that also can start fights really early, as typically we don't see the Yorick showing up for team fights very often. So you're going to have a champion that is really strong and it has enough presence that can hopefully bring you over the edge in a 4v5 team fight.
That sounds a lot like Sejuani to me, because you don't have Skarner. And there aren't a lot of big tank junglers that scream out to me right now. So we'll see if they land on the Sejuani even through all this. Yone does get banned away from SeTab on the turn. I like this for JDG, trying to lean more into that range. I wouldn't hate putting Peyz on a Jhin in this spot. I know Jhin is a pretty polarizing AD carry pick a lot of the times. It's what I would call situational, and if you want to play spacing with the Rise and try to set up more, snares, combo off of the Pantheon stun, these point-and-click stuns, you always have that Deadly Flourish, so Peyz will lock that one in.
Right. Probably looking at an Alistar on 5 coming in for missing.
Oh, no, do not play this.
I don't see the vision here. I'm seeing less of the blind. I'm blind.
Dive buddies?
I'm getting Teemo queued.
Okay, so we locked the Nocturne in. I assume this is Nocturne Aurora? Yeah, so SeTab would definitely prefer the Ahri, knowing his champ pool, but I guess we're getting Nocturne Aurora.
Please pick the Aurora.
Nico Pop Blossom.
Oh, no! ThunderTalk, no!
There's just too many pieces that, don't fit here.
I mean, I like the idea, because what in theory can happen is if there's an advantage or if JDG spend a little too much time on a play, the Yorick is going to be able to push. Nocturne can then help kind of assist on that side lane, or maybe ThunderTalk can kind of use that time in between to get their recalls, redeploy onto a side of the map. Ahri is also going to be pretty slippery in a side lane. Just in terms of how you're able to play this game, SeTab basically needs to be able to win out in the first 10 minutes and grab himself a meaningful advantage versus Scout. Otherwise, this Rise gets way too tanky for them to deal with. They're going to be diving in onto a Pantheon, onto basically all eyes on this Jhin, and once he's gone, then you're just playing a bunch of melees into a Nocturne, into the rest of this team. ThunderTalk need to kind of find a shotgun fight every single time. Otherwise, it just falls apart incredibly quickly in my mind.
R5 coming through for missing is the Leona. I know you were expecting the Alistar. Don't hate the Leona if JDG want to play their tempo and start fights. You needed somebody else kick things off besides like a Grand Starfall. So you'll have the Solar Flare into a relatively low-range composition. But this does just feel like JDG kind of in their wheelhouse. Like you called out, if Peyz is kind of the target of these constant ult barrages, you're willing to sacrifice him depending on where the game is at, how late we are into the game, knowing that Ala and Scout can really bring home these fights. Questions with the draft, but all ailments of draft critiques can be fixed by execution on the Rift. ThunderTalk were able to force this series the distance the first time round. Can they do it again with a new look jungler in Xiaohuang Ren? We'll have to find out on the Rift here, but we definitely have our worries, especially knowing how confident and polished JDG looked in the 25-minute Game 1 win.
Just so many things. I mean, ThunderTalk going to be looking at how they play these first 10 minutes. Can SeTab get those solo kills or get an advantage versus Scout? Or when Extend and Feather are really going to be able to play the laning phase, as Leona is a bit more of a stronger laner than Alistar, especially early on. But we'll have to see. JDG now on the precipice of potentially 2-0ing this series and potentially looking to further their game lead.
We are on to the Rift. Game 2. Get to see a pretty normal start so from both of these sides. Maybe we'll see if Xiaohuang Ren goes for a later ward. But right now, it looks like Shun is looking to clear down towards that Jhin. And I almost got baited by the Nico clone. Yeah, so just a fan start across the board. And like you mentioned all further, we got to see ThunderTalk very competent in trying to push for these early leads. And it's something that they got a little bit too over easy doing last game. So we'll see as the junglers both start. Actually, we see with that vision cleared out by Scout that Shun is going to force a vertical jungle spot to try and lean towards his bot side more. And you got to like that, knowing the lane assignment, especially towards the top side.
You also saw the pings here. Xiaohuang Ren is actually going to do his wolves and try to cheat into this bottom side, maybe expecting that there's a little bit more priority coming in from this bottom lane. Feather takes half of his HP already.
Crit shot.
And now he's going to walk into his jungle. He's like, where's my Raptors? Where's my red buff?
Shun will get out quietly with only his name being heard in stories as the fabled invade of that one. And his start on his blue buff does just generally slow down both junglers, though.
Ooh. And this, so not only with them having vision, they know when his Raptors are going to be respawning. Seems like Xiaohuang Ren is actually going to try to flip his pathing, trying to end on the top side of the map, bail Hoya out of what is the matchup that should be favored for Yorick, especially early on. Maybe on one item it's changed with some of the changes to Yorick a couple of patches ago, but I think theoretically it should still stay pretty similar. This is not a fun matchup for Mr. Renekton.
Will get better with time, with ultimates coming online. Maybe Maiden is pretty overpowered as well. Like we talked about.
Maiden claps this Renekton.
Yeah, Maiden does. And like we talked about, Hoya in the win against JDG, the only win they have all season long against JDG, was with this Yorick in play here, as both mid laners come into play without their teleports, catching up that next lane, and Junglers clearing both of them on their top side, so this bottom lane will be left to its own devices. And with Missing's aggressive positioning, could see potential Zenith Blade throwdown. So one thing with the Nico bottom lane is there's a lot of ways to be slippery, but if you get caught, you catch a crit bolt to the face, this bottom lane definitely changes dynamics very quickly.
For right now, JDG are pretty okay with just the state of the lane, having Nico down already both of her pots, despite being in a double range lane. Again, when you have this Kai'Sa as your AD carry, usually laning phase is not your strongest suit. Ooh, the movement speed from heal, actually. Nice dodge from Missing.
Yeah, big there. Big to both dodge out is mid and jungle shift down. Good there for Xiaohong Ren to cancel out the stun, but it's way more damage out of Scout here. Xun trying to buy as much time with his damage blocking, and everyone's flashing all over the place. Traded kills here as Feather picks up Xun. Scout, though, able to find a kill of his own, and Peyz flashing forward with the force shot, gets the bouncer grenade to find one, and he's going to ramp up the rest of these kills. Nobody's watching Peyz, but everyone's watching him now for ThunderTalk as he just pops all three. Griv Peyz the triple kill. Another disastrous first skirmish for ThunderTalk.
So, you know, I like the idea of the play coming in from ThunderTalk, but I really believe that JDG just outplay them in this situation, showing a little bit of those hands. Xun does end up going down, but is able to trade his life, and look at the summoner spells now for both sides. Almost every flash outside of the top lane is gone, and as we get into this replay, I think there were some really good moments here for ThunderTalk. The spell shield to block the stun, this flash coming in from SeTab just to make sure that they get all of this damage down. And in particular, I do want to note, as someone who has gotten a lot of flack, especially from us here on the LPL English, Missing has played so far 2 very okay games. Game 1 maybe a little bit less so, but already here in game number 1, he's playing really, really well as Allah?
Croc is throwing down here. How did we even get into this scenario where 1xN is anywhere near a level 6 Renekton?
They swapped. Look at their bottom lane. Peyz and Missing are taking control of mid. Xun is going to finish his camps on the top side, looking to be around these grubs in 20 seconds time. Now you're looking at this from the side of ThunderTalk. You're saying, okay, well, damn, like, Allah just TP'd. He's going to get himself a plate. We can't ever pressure around this bottom side. Ryze is catching a wave, so ThunderTalk are a little bit off kilter right now. They feel dazed potentially and are losing golden experience across the map.
Yeah, I get that the lane swap really set up that. I'm just, again, curious how 1xN even ends up that close to a Renekton. Allah doesn't even burn his flash, right? It wasn't like a flash stun engage, pop dominance, drop all your damage. Who knows? All it goes down as is a big opening further for JDG. Turret plate, now they're onto the grubs. It's just, you can already see the avalanche coming down from the summit right now for TT in this series-ending game loss if it comes that way. Oh, here we go.
I mean,
we'll
they
get our
thought
look.
that they thought that they were going to be safe. He hits level 6 in the middle of this minion wave.
Oh, that's why.
Really well played, and obviously he has enough base damages with how the bot lane just used all of their summoner spells. Great all-in from Allah, and very smart timing coming in from a top laner who is pretty legendary here in the LPL. Been playing for quite a while.
The Maiden doing a lot of damage, but you got more friends coming than just the ghouls and the Maiden to worry about, Hoya. Completely surrounded. JDG, it feels like they're playing 6-on-5 the way they're moving around the map right now to just punish ThunderTalk over and over again.
That's another wave that's going to be lost. Scout just pushes in his wave, so he's probably going to be answering on bottom lane. Just such a clean start here for JDG. It seems like they are stomping on every single one of these plays. A lot of this gold going over to Peyz as well.
We're okay.
He has flash. He has flash if he really needs it. Jesus Christ, guys. Okay.
Solo. Oh, wow. I mean, Xun didn't have any vision, but we got to be calm and you're safe. Oh, boy. Those were 2 really hard to watch jungle ultimates.
It's tougher for ThunderTalk because they're behind. You know, Xun gets to play with house money here. So, sure, he's not too pressed about it. They'll get mid priority. Scout even gets to TP back into this wave. It's another turret plate now falling here for JDG. This Ryze getting accelerated without much having to happen across the map. They're even taking control of bottom side jungle. Great job from JDG, who so far have shown why they are one of the teams that I think international fans and the LPL community are potentially looking at to be one of our squads representing us at internationals this year.
Is the theme so far through the Rumble stage's initial round robin is inconsistency from everybody. So the second half, it's integral, especially I'm glad you brought up the international stakes of the LPL, that we start seeing teams lock in and knock down opponents they're expected to and look just as polished when it comes into those bigger matchups when you're JDG taking your rematch against Top Esports that you nearly came up with a win on, knocking down AL. This could be the start of a pretty big torrential run for a team that has players on their roster that know how to perform at those international events that LPL fans are begging for consistent play at.
Okay. All right. Well, we didn't see. We said at 9. We're at almost 10 minutes here. What is the lead for the solo lanes coming in for ThunderTalk? Well, Allah is 1-0-1. He has almost 1,000 gold individually. Same thing here for Scout. There are very minor differences between the two solo lanes, and that advantage goes over to JDG. They even got the first dragon and majority of the first set of grubs. So for JD Gaming, they are going to continue their kind of style of dominance, and they keep losing access and priority. Feels like when we talk about this team just having this Jhin in mid lane already, it makes it so much easier for JDG to then walk into one side of the river, put down vision. All of this top side river is completely littered with red side wards, and ThunderTalk are just now coming back to base, and they're still behind in items, still behind in presence around the map.
Right on cue, Alk. The observers know. They want to show how dark that top river is for ThunderTalk as they're going to try and make their way in with the Slippery Nico, trying to use those clones and clear out some of these wards. All JDG really have to do by this point is try and protect weak side players, and make sure they have summoners and realm warp up available if you're Scout. Allah gives some respect over to potential engages because ThunderTalk, they luckily do have a comp that has the tools equipped to them to fight back and come back with their dive threat of this Nico, this Nocturne, the Ahri coming in, and the Kaisa as well. And that's the only way they can come back in this game.
All right, can they make this play? I mean,
oh boy,
SeTab
is so caught. That is Solar Flare into a Deadly Flourish. SeTab was locked up for a solid 5 seconds, and they're just knocking down ThunderTalk like bowling pins. One by one, they fall. Xiaohong Ren gonna cleanse the first stun there from Xun, but luckily missing is here with the scene of play. That's flashed out as well. Teleport, though, coming behind here. Again, kind of a late TP from Hoya. Where do you really go here? You're going to chase down Xun and missing with Scout nearby?
So he's going to catch this wave. I feel like Allah can keep going. He doesn't know where the Ahri is, so being rather respectful of TT and just what timers he's allowed to take. I think that play really for Hoya, the teleport there, was just to make sure that if they were going to overextend, maybe they can try to go for something. Take a look at this replay. Is this Hoya just getting near solo killed?
Near? Oh. Yeah. Gonna say a clutch big wall flash. Yep. So.
Yep. All right. Well, good job from Hoya, but still, that's an advantage going over again to JDG. They find multiple kills. They use a lot of ultimates there. So right now you see that ThunderTalk trying to play through Fog of War. They're gonna grab themselves more of these grubs, but how useful is this really gonna be, Slayer? How often have we actually been able to see them hit these turrets? Because right now I'm looking at the minimap. 2 minutes before plates are down, every turret is fully stacked on plates. So.
At least the face value is you're telling me that the Yorick team gets mites. Face value, that's good, but yeah, it's again the real thorn in the side of this matchup for ThunderTalk has been assignments, making sure you're on top of waves across the map. They have just been lackluster here for TT, and JDG are playing with a whole new confidence by this point. I mean, Hoya is walking right. Allah is walking right into Hoya, trying to shut him down. They have the Nico there to kind of jump out of the brush and say, hey, we've got more members here than you think, and that might actually pay dividends with the lights coming out here. Allah drops. That is a shutdown gained and going into 1xN's pocket.
I mean, sure, yeah, but you still lose out on this turret. I wonder if JDG are going to continue to push onto this dragon, because it does spawn in 30 seconds. They can very easily get back onto the map now with a Rise ultimate and having access to the Grand Starfall. You kind of see that ThunderTalk are trying to pair up, having their Ahri and Nocturne walk around the map together, but it's cool that you got a kill. I just still don't think it's worth it.
Hey, I'm just trying. It's little wins. Maybe I'm just full cope. Who knows?
Look, that's okay. You know, we had that really fun ThunderTalk graphic, and I think you're still reeling.
That thing is so dead now. That thing is.
The effect, yeah, it's okay. Just like ThunderTalk's hopes of automatically qualifying for playoffs. It's in there. Okay.
It was a fun.
They're gonna grab themselves a dragon. So, Slayer, we are at a point now where JDG, they have upgraded boots from the Feats of War.
Yep.
Or Feats of Strength. They have already completed first item, and Scout is now almost 2.5 minutes up on his Rod of Ages. They have plenty of vision to try to see where this Nocturne is coming from. I'm seeing very few angles here for ThunderTalk to be able to come back in this one.
Maybe you just have the playbook right now on ThunderTalk. Really just a playbook. I don't even want to say just for ThunderTalk, just to take a lead and create even more of a problem for their opposing team here. I mean, that was a full combo from SeTab, and Scout is still half healthy. He's going to use the Realm Warp to buy a bit more space as they do spot Feather coming over. And maybe JDG are starting to overestimate their power into the Maiden of Hoya. SeTab gets the first kill, is going to get a reset on that Spirit Rush. Scout does not have the flash available just yet, and SeTab is going to auto-home a second kill. There's some good map play from ThunderTalk, overloading and punishing JDG. But they always pick up something on the weak side.
I can't wait to, after this game, go and see my Twitter feed, and I'm going to see a 10-10 tweet. I already know. She's going to make some kind of fan cam talking about these two and showing them straight up dying on a side lane for free. So, hey, punishment coming in from ThunderTalk. JDG believing that they have a little bit more damage than necessarily they might actually have. And it's some kills. I think that it does slow down the game for ThunderTalk, and that's obviously where they kind of want to be with them being down 5,000 gold at 15 minutes. But I don't know. Like Leo, I'm looking at this dude. Like, you used a lot for this play if you're on the side of ThunderTalk.
Yeah.
You got flashes out, but you had to overload. Alla got an entire top wave. You didn't really get much in mid, so. And even then, Alla TPs immediately after this to try to pick up this wave, so none of the gold really goes missing, but you got it onto SeTab, so hopefully he's, as this Ahri, is going to be able to push for a little bit more in this game.
His roll maybe a bit slower than the Scouts, but get some Darksteel stacks in there too. Faded Ashes grabbed as SeTab goes for that more conventional now, scaling-esque Ahri build. Wonder how much that build path is going to change with the Lich Bane changes for a lot of these AP side lane threats. But that's for a soon-to-come big patch change that we won't gross now, knowing how much more is going on the map right now. They do keep both Xia Hongren and SeTab in that bot side to knock down the first Tier 1 turret. They're going to sacrifice the Rift Herald, but SeTab is going to keep going here, knowing that a lot of JDG are on that top side and are actually going to be slow to responding to this push.
There's a teleport coming in from Scout.
Whoa,
it's pretty far. They're going to make a really long chase, and it's a minute and a half before, or 2 minutes almost here, for the Dragon. This could potentially set up for JDG to get a lot more on the map. They're going to go long for SeTab.
Yep, he has Spirit Rush. He's already used 2 charges, though. Has Flash as well if he needs to. It really feels like there's no way out for SeTab. Maybe he understands that, trying to buy time to see if this can get extra space on the other side of the map. Not going to be a mid, really. Got to think that play and that sacrifice is mostly for Hoya's gain.
Oh, but they have the Rift Herald here. Unfortunate ult coming in from missing, but just pushing off the bottom lane push of TT. This pair is not going to be able to get much done. And cool, Hoya got yourself a turret. But if you look at this now for JDG, they're going to take another turret in bottom lane. They can very easily shift this over into mid if they need to. Already took the mid tier 2. JDG are or close to taking the mid-tier 2, I should say. GG are very happy with where they are right now, and even being able to find that kill onto the Ahri.
Let's see if Alla Accelerated can really deal with Yorick. Right now, I'd say no. He can't really tell who he wants to fight. Might have to use this dominance defensively. Hoya's going to flash forward and try and guarantee that kill. Maiden can't get close enough. Good heal from Cole the Meek. Hoya takes a turret shot and is going to have to sacrifice that very Maiden. And luckily for Hoya, Grand Starfall is off cooldown, or that would have been a dead TT top laner.
All right, 20 seconds before this Dragon. No ultimate for either of the top laners. I think this does minorly advantage ThunderTalk if just the top laners are going to be joining. But you can see that Alla trying to make a long chase here. Hoya does have the ability to teleport if he really needs to be on that bottom lane for this Dragon. But even, it seems like ThunderTalk, they don't know exactly where they want to go. Like, there's no topside camps for them to play for. They haven't been able to clear much vision on their side of the jungle.
Yeah.
So,
where we walk in to this river. Seems like both teams are a bit apprehensive. More so for JDG, just trying to control the waves as they've done really all series long. So Scout gets one of those bot waves in control. Hoya has to answer mid wave. They do start up the Dragon Xiaohongren, so we'll see if JDG want to respond with a fight of their own. Solar Flare is back and available. Scout nearby with the Realm War. Both top laners answering mid waves. And this is what we call the calm before the storm. Don't expect a straight 50-50 to start this one out. It's going to be JDG. Look towards Shun. Looks toward missing. All the Wombo combo ultimates, though, are on ThunderTalk's side. So the lights are going to go out. No smite means that Shun's going to just grab that Dragon for free, and now Xiaohongren jumps in with 1xN. They do pick up the kill onto Shun, but they cannot face up the might of Alla with dominance back up. A curtain call raking over the entire fight, and most importantly, Scout just decimating all of the TT members on the front line here. Gets another Prism Root. The Deadly Flourish is going to force Hoya to juke right back into Scout. Does get away from that first Q, but not the second. Scout picks up 3 whole kills across that entire Dragon play to put himself at Exodia point.
I mean, not only do they're not able to really push in this fight, but the smite from Xiaohongren, I mean, you're going on to the scuttle. He does have a second charge, but it takes 15 seconds between the first and the second there. So he loses out on the ability to smite. It puts JDG on soul point. So if this game still goes on for another 4 minutes, we are expecting for JDG to be looking towards an Infernal Soul. This smite right here, I mean, big mistake. Now, JDG can just start hitting this Dragon without very much of a contest. And even with the turn here from ThunderTalk, they're trying to hide this Nico. This Pot Blossom only lands onto one, and it is the incredibly tanky Rise. They kill this Pantheon, but the damage is just too much here from JDG.
And the chase commences. Realm Warp utilized very well. JDG is so on point with executing their comp and waiting for ThunderTalk, like we saw in that last fight, to get desperate and dive in. And now, very similar to Game 1, they have so much control, massive gold lead, tons of turrets taken, so they have a lot of advancing wards, and they just get reign over all these big-time neutral objectives. The Paranoia is going to come out here. CT try and steal some of these flowers away. Pop Blossom only lands on a Peyz. He cleanses it. Scout gets out to safety with the Seraphs, and now Peyz can step up and start raining Hellfire down onto ThunderTalk. The flashes won't save them. Nothing will save ThunderTalk as the skies part clear and JDG's sign rains down on this game.
Well, they now get to take all these waves. ThunderTalk, it looked great, but you just played against this team a couple of days, and I think the effects of no longer having Beichuan are starting to come through for ThunderTalk very early on. It's a tough sight, especially for some of our ThunderTalk fans from Split 1, but JDG were always expected to win this fight, and you can see it kind of reflected the carries of JDG now. Scout, who has been, I think, pretty maligned so far coming into 2025. His Split 1 was absolutely invisible and something that I think really was a hamper on the reputation of a player like this. Now it feels like Scout maybe coming back and taking this these series a little bit more seriously, as we just get this solo kill from Alla. I don't think it's all that impressive, to be honest.
No.
This game is completely cooked at this point.
I just like that they always flash those two, like 1v1ing when something more important is happening on the map. We've done that like 3 times. Really like the way that Peyz and Scout really able to space this fight here. Sure, missing dies, but once all those ultimates come down, the lights come back on, these two just step up and, I mean, that's a Jin and auto melee range just bopping people. You know how much confidence you got to have play like that?
He's got 3 items, right? He has the Youmu's, which is something that we've been seeing a little bit more specifically from Peyz. He has the Infinity Edge and the RFC, so he does so much more damage. There's a teleport here, trying to catch out Peyz and missing. Pantheon can join.
They ult, though, on to missing because they couldn't get vision on top of Peyz, the much bigger prize. But it's okay because the maiden has found him, and Hoya is going to grab the shutdown before Shun shows up with the Grand Starfall. Another example of ThunderTalk punishing one sideway from JDG pretty well.
It's shutdowns, though, right? And look at where the gold ended up going. Hoya being able to find that, not bad, but if you are ThunderTalk, you need to have more moments like that. You are still massively behind in this game, not just in gold, but items, objectives, everything across the board. And this is kind of where your power spike is supposed to be, right? 2-item Kai'Sa, you should have most of your evolves. 2-item Yorick and everybody across the team should be where we are looking for ThunderTalk to really make an impact here. We can maybe see something happen in a little bit of time once SeTab is able to hit level 16, but I feel like that is a pretty long ways away, and we have 15 seconds before this dragon. It is Infernal Soul here for JDG. Scout can teleport if he needs to, and Hoya always has to play to that same side of the map now.
Has to mirror Scout, who once again is so safe with the Realm Warp. That time the stun doesn't land for missing Solar Flare, but guess what? Deadly Flourish makes it so much more potent of a pick play that 1xN has to burn Flash, burn Cleanse to get to safety. Xiaoheng Ren and Feather try and re-engage, but they can't do anything without SeTab. 1xN here. Missing goes low once more, does get picked off. The Paranoia turn coming out for TT once again. But the lightning just doesn't follow the thunder right now. Nothing is following these plays for TT. It's just Scout showing up in the nick of time, trying to once again show that he is back in that form to push JDG over the edge in the Rumble stage.
Still not as clean, but guess what? Jungler's dead. Shin is going to try to start this up. Hoya is in the area and has already started to kind of bully the Pantheon away. I mean, he's just going to get much more HP. Scout's going to also be able to Realm Warp them. This should be their Infernal Soul.
Good stun from Shun. He actually gets it done on his own. He says, guys, I appreciate you coming, but you're just going to watch as Hoya drops to Shun. And when the Yorick is losing to the Pantheon jungle, just further personifies how different the two sides are in this game.
Yeah, JDG now have Infernal Soul. That should be kind of the last nail in the coffin. We'll probably see one more fight. JDG, they don't ever really want to start the Baron. They have pretty low damage. Takes them a pretty long time. Maybe with Ryze it's a little bit quicker, but Jin is notorious very slow. Oh my god. Peyz, I don't think thought he landed that W. He's like, okay, no. I already started right clicking back onto the mid wave. So, but I think JDG are gonna just use the Baron to say, look, either you're gonna stop us on this objective, or we'll just take the Baron and then end the game anyway.
Very least, will threaten. Maybe this bot lane tier 3 is Alla swings back over. He has teleport advantage into Hoya. We once again get a look at what are our top laners doing. I think this one goes to Hoya though.
Yeah, Hoya wins this one. See, so this is the part of the matchup that gets really annoying.
This is like our soap opera. This is like our soap opera in the middle of this game, you know?
It's the battle of the two top laners. Unfortunately, Alla is just a goat like that. So, well,
Baron's gone. Xiaoheng Ren is completely decimated. Oh, this is a fleeting hope from ThunderTalk. Again, they had to do it. They have to try and do something to stem the bleeding. But this game is turned all red in the name of JDG. Another triple kill comes across. The curtain call hits its mark. That's the ace. And we're going to get another sub-30-minute win from JDG. They start out the second round robin looking completely in control against the ThunderTalk team that will now fall to the bottom of the standings at 2-8.
Well, JDG now definitively hold the head-to-head record versus ThunderTalk. And ThunderTalk, it was great. It's unfortunate that you lost your jungler, but JDG are just one hell of a different team. They're in a different league compared to you.
The 2-0 comes across, and our first series of the second half of the Rumble stage might have been the most convincing one of all. Like you called out, all JDG now solidify themselves as third place still locked into a playoff spot, and you want to try and separate yourself from the rest of the pack. Because like we talked about at the top of this broadcast, right now there are 2 teams that are now 5-4 behind you that we are about to watch play after this one, by the way. And then you got 4-5 BLG and 4-5 FPX. So all in that, there's a ton of packed-in teams in the middle of this bracket with 2 of those playoff spots involved.
And for ThunderTalk, this has got to be tough. They'll at least have the rest of the week. Similar to JDG, this is going to be their only match for Week 6 or Week 5. So at least they won't have to play a bunch of matches after this. But again, their schedule does not get any easier. Like you had said earlier, BLG, IG, FPX, and Weibo all in 1 week is going to be a tough pallet for them to swallow.
Wow.
As now they move down to 2-8. They're probably definitively going to be they're 10 series into 18, and they're 2-8. 20% series win record, 25% game score. I mean, they're 6-18, so that's really tough. They're winning a fourth of their games right now, which is not where you want to be. And now you have a new substitute coming into the jungle situation. I don't think it gets much better for TT.
And again, it was a really big ask of Xia Hongren to like come in here and just immediately turn around ThunderTalk up against like a JDG team. It was what? It was a guy stepping in to his first LPL action in a while, and this is what you don't normally see. I'm glad that you pointed out that they don't have to play much more this week, because I think we talked about how this was like a 4-day turnaround for the same matchup against JDG. That's rough. Now they'll get a bit more time to try and gel as a squad and figure out some things, because there still is room to try and improve. Like you said, they're 10-18. That's still 8 best-of-3s, and you do get to play everybody that's in front of you. Like you're going to get an NIP series, you're going to get a WE series, FPX series as well to try and gain some ground. But yeah, it is back to the drawing board for TT. That is the headline of this series.
I would say, like, I think in theory that would be a great, like, hey, you're going to face the people that are ahead of you in the standings. But aside from NIP, everybody ahead of them is making pretty big improvements. Like,
oh, that's true.
This FPX roster, I think, is one of the most surprising. WE going from absolutely winless to now 3-6. Their score isn't much better, but I think the fact that they're on a 3-win streak versus ThunderTalk on a loss streak and continuing to slide is not the only reason that ThunderTalk are not solely 10th place is because they beat Ninjas in Pajamas.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if that didn't happen, this team is 1-8, or like 1-9, and then we're talking about like, yeah, you're definitely the 10th place team. So I think as ThunderTalk, you're now thinking about the fact that you're probably facing off against. If I take a look at the standings right now, and we imagine that you're going to be 10th place, you're going up against an FPX or a Team WE at that moment. So for a single spot in playoffs, you get a single best of 5 to prove yourself. It's I think a feature of just having a group ascend. It's thankful. I think they're thankful for the fact that this is going to be a learning group, but obviously as professional players, they would have loved to be able to kind of win more games, but
always
they're just not piecing it together. I think that their setups have been incredibly sloppy.
And as you bring out these hypotheticals and we soak in the group ascend standings more, I just can't help but like call back to how different of a spot we were in from Split 1. Part of that is such a different format, but again, ThunderTalk were in the upper bracket of playoffs not that long ago as a team that topped a group from Split 1. Saying that FPX and Team WU were going to be likely matchups, them coming in as underdogs, if you told the LPL fans that like a month and a half ago where we were at, it would be hard to comprehend it in a sense.
But
that's the magic of the LPL.
Yeah, that is. I will say, I think
definitely not WE. You wouldn't have thought WE.
For sure. Oh, for sure. I agree with that part. Just, we had a little bit of we fell in love with the story, I think. We got ahead of the narrative
course we
there.
did.
So, for JDG, though, this was I really wanted to see this team 2-0. There is no reason this should have gone to 3. I think that JDG have only gotten better as time has gone on. I still really do believe that the title of like sleeping giants is still true for this team. It seems like they've at least woken up for this. maybe half awake at least for this TT series, but things that we're going to still need to see improvements on. I think Scout in a side lane sometimes still gets caught when we're talking about how they're able to activate their bottom lane. That's something that I'm going to be looking for. Can we maybe up Missing's consistency? I think him still being below the 500 line when we talk about supports is going to potentially hurt this team as they go forward, but I think it's a strong win that they can take, and they obviously have a pretty large break after this, not playing a single match this entire week after this. So I think it's good for them now to be able to use this to hopefully springboard themselves into continuing to move up in the standings.
And your overarching theme as well, looking just for solo lanes to find the most consistency, and this is a good spot for them. You talked about. I still think there are improvements there too. You talked about Scalp, but like Alla too, taking some fights that are a bit overeager on this Renekton. The Ornn game, not a lot to take away from them, but those are the two spots that if we want to see that giant awake when it comes to the playoffs and rise, you got to improve there. Question though, same difficult question for us to figure out from game one. We still have to give a player the game away. Do you feel like it's just going to Scout because of the amount of kills, the plays he was making? Who do you, not who's going to get it, Alk? Who are you giving the MVP to in this game?
I'll give it to Missing, man. He played this game well. He played this game pretty well on the... We're just giving it to Peyz. All right, fair play. He's played some of the most consistent league for this
without
team.
a doubt.
I think that the person with the least amount of blame, I'm not saying he's been perfect. He's obviously made a couple of mistakes. I think that there has been some games where his positioning hasn't been quite up to snuff, but consistently, I think he has been the best player for this team throughout the entire year, and he has only gotten better. So I'm glad to see that Peyz is continuing to build his legacy as a League of Legends AD carry.
It's awesome to see. Good to see JDG start the second half of the Rumble stage with a dominating win through ThunderTalk that everybody was hoping for as we continue to watch this team as one of the threats to the top two that are top esports and anyone's legends. But guess what? There are more than one threat. There are more than three threats in that middle pack of the group Ascent standings, and we're going to get to see the two other 5 and 4 teams come. We saved the best